everybody, Fiber Spider back again in the kitchen. And today we are going to be making burgers. Not just any kind of burgers. No, we are making corned beef hash burgers. Yes. As a kid, I used to love making corned beef hash. Absolutely. Every weekend, it was one of my go-to staples. It's so easy to prepare that I wanted to revisit it. But I wanted to try something a little bit different, so I did some hunting around and I found that you can make patties or burgers out of corned beef hash. And I thought, let's give it a try. Now, this is not the kind of burger that you would want to put on, say, a grill. No, I'm going to be frying them. I suppose you could also bake them as well, but they are so easy, they're very, very tasty, and I think that they would make a delightful breakfast sandwich. Yeah, so the ingredients, very, very simple. Of course, you are going to need corned beef hash. I go no frills. I go with the store brand. It's fine. Some breadcrumbs, some eggs, an onion, some garlic, and believe it or not, a carrot. Yeah, but it is very, very, very simple to whip up, and it makes 6. Yeah, so it's not a bad yield either. Actually, I have a couple in my freezer already. I did do a dry run already to see if it would work, and I'm glad that I did because I did tweak the original recipe that I had found a little bit so that the burgers would hold together a bit better. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hello again. All right, so first things first, we of course need a nice big old bowl and going to plop in our corned beef hash. Now, if you get a can of just regular corned beef without the potatoes, then you're supposed to add a small potato finely diced up. This, however, already has the potato in it. By the way, this is a 14-ounce can. So I'm going to add this into our bowl. Now, some people, they don't like corned beef hash very much. Personally, I rather enjoy it. It's one of my comfort foods. I mean, it has potatoes in it, so how can you go wrong? But the other reason why I really like corned beef hash is because it has a really great shelf life. Yeah, that can. Good for another 3 years. When you get regular beef, okay, from, the butcher, if you don't eat it within, like, 2, maybe 3 days after you get it, it gets funky, or then you have to freeze it, and then you have to defrost it. This, it's ready to go whenever you want it. It's fabulous, So that's kind of the logic behind my madness, okay? I like simplicity. All right, so then we have ourselves breadcrumbs. Again, store brand. So I'm using 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs. Put this to the side. 2 eggs. Just gonna beat these up. Come on. There we go. Now, the original recipe only called for 1 egg and no breadcrumbs, but I wanted to add the breadcrumbs to sort of, give it a little bit more body, and also, to bulk it up a little bit. And the extra egg I found was necessary because it wasn't holding together, actually, with just the 1 egg. So we tweak, we do things. So I'm just gonna give this a quick, light stir, but then we have some more ingredients to add in, which we shall. So you just mix this around. And of course, this is something that you can customize and really make it your own. Now, I'm sure also that if I used bigger eggs, that perhaps I would only need one, but I have small eggs. What can I say? I've got small hands, I've got small eggs, I have small feet. It's like I wear like a size 8. It's hard to find shoes, let me tell you. All right, so now we have some various little veggie add-ins as well. So let's get chopping, shall we? Okay. All right, so first up, got a small yellow onion, and I'm gonna throw the whole thing in, actually. Now, I suppose that if you are of a mind to, you could use red onion or Vidalia or what have you. But I thought that a yellow onion would give it a nice kick. Get rid of that skin and this outer layer. Yeah, I said in another video, whenever I prep onions, I always get rid of the outer layer. It's just one of my quirks. And I'm probably going to be crying. Now, I know that there are 1,000,001 tricks of how not to end up crying from chopping onions. Some of them I think are wives' tales. Some of them I think are legitimate. I don't know, you tell me. So let's go with half of the half and start dicing this up finely. Well, relatively finely. And trying to be careful of my little fingers. Yeah, I have not been, my eyes have not been, they have not been nuked yet with the onion juice. I think it's a good thing that I'm wearing glasses. Damn it. Okay, you know what? I put this to the side, and let's really go to town on this. Really shred this up. Now, of course, if you want less in your burgers, that's totally fine. I think I'm going to use the whole thing, quite frankly. Okay, and then just add this into our mix. Oh yeah, my eyes are starting... my eyes are starting to do the thing. Okay. Just pop that in there. There we go. All right, so you know what? I'm going to finish up the onion off camera. Oh, excuse me. I'll be right back. Okay, so after a potentially good cry, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. We are done with the onion. Thank God for small favors. All right, so now I have a couple of cloves of garlic. We are going to get these little guys ready as well. You know, I think perhaps use kind of a smaller knife just to get these going. Want to get those outer little wrappers off of them. And of course, if you really like garlic, go crazy, add more, add less. I really like garlic. Very much. And I'm having issues with this little guy. There we go. They do not like to behave. There we go. So yeah, gonna peel this and mince it up nice and finely, and gonna add that into the mix. And then one more thing, a carrot of all things. Yeah, I thought that's rather odd, but no, actually it's rather nice, and it helps hold the whole thing together just a little bit as well. I was thinking about perhaps adding other things, like maybe you know, peppers or mushrooms or something like that. The mushrooms might make it a little too wet, and the peppers might be a little bit too crunchy. So you might want to perhaps saute certain things first before adding them into your mix. There are plenty of things that I don't know about cooking. I will be the first to say that. So I'm learning too. You know, prior to me doing videos on the channel for, you know, in the kitchen, I really didn't do much in the way of cooking at all, to be perfectly frank. It was never quite my thing. I've always had the interest, but never the drive. And you guys are absolutely sweet as can be with all of your lovely comments and suggestions and helpful hints. I really do appreciate it. Okay, you know what? That little guy, I think he's not going to do anybody any favors. So let us mince this up nice and finely. First, give it a little smush. There we go. And then just dice this up. Oh, my nose. Yes, my nose is running a bit from all that onion that I had to chop up. My eyes are all watery. But you know what? I do this for you guys. I love you guys. It's worth suffering for. Okay, that one little guy does not want to... There we go. Okay, I think we more or less got it. It's not a lot of garlic, but it'll do. I mean, if it were up to me, I would use a whole bulb, but... Okay, now, last but not least, believe it or not, yes, we have ourselves a carrot. So I'm just going to do a quick peeling off of the outside layer, but then, believe it or not, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to peel the entire carrot because, well, the recipe called for shredding a carrot, and my knife skills, as you know, are not fabulous, so I thought I could shred the carrot with the peeler, and that would work out. And it did, actually. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm just going crazy because it's already nice and thin. And then going to actually dice these shavings up. I'm not going to leave them as is. No, I'm going to cut them up even finer. Let me show you what I'm going to do. Pile them up like so. And just give them a bit of a dice this way, so it's not like I'm eating spaghetti. And pop this in. Shredded carrot. So I'm going to finish up the rest of the carrot off camera, and I will be right back. Alrighty. right, so we are in the home stretch. Okay, I got the rest of my carrot ready to go. Just gives it a little body, you know? And honestly, you do not notice the taste at all. There. Okay, got that done. Lovely. And proceed to mix up our concoction. Yes, there is a lot of onion in here. But I do like what I make to have a lot of flavor. And I also have my platter handy, which I'm going to need momentarily. So get this nice and mixed up together. And it looks like it is holding together nicely. You know, you don't want it to be too crumbly. And if it is, I suppose you could alter the recipe a bit more, perhaps with another egg or some more breadcrumbs. Although this worked beautifully the last time that I made these. So it's all mixed up, ready to go. All right, so this should, in theory, make about 6 patties. So just gonna go right in. Little patty. Well, burger, patty, you know, what have you. Now, it is kind of loose, so again, I would not necessarily recommend this for your barbecue, but if you want to do this in the oven or on your stovetop with a frying pan, you know, I think that that would totally work out just fine. So, having sort of a cursory forming here. And also, to help these guys, we are going to stick these in the fridge for a bit so that they set a little. Give it a good compression. And yes, this is messy, but then again, if you've made burgers before, it's not exactly the cleanest activity to be doing. Got a little bit more in there. A little bit more. There we go. And of course, if you want to make these smaller, you could do that too. I like, you know, a burger-sized burger. There we go. Scoot you right there. Now, to be honest, the ones that I stuck in the freezer, I have not tried to see how they are after being frozen. I imagine they're fine. I did cook them, and then I stuck them in the freezer. Wrapped them in foil, stuck them in the freezer. So in theory, those should be fine. And it looks like we are, in fact, going to be able to make 6 out of this, just as I had hoped and planned. My hands are such a mess right now. Okay, sort of scoot you together a little bit. There we go. And then last one. And perhaps the onion that I used last time was not quite so big. Don't know. Seems very oniony. All right. plop you onto there. Arrange you. There we go. Okay, great. All right. Now, yes, I seriously need to wash my hands. You have to bear with me for just a moment. I've been gooped. Okay, so now all I need to do is wrap these with saran wrap and then pop them in the fridge for, I would say, at least a half an hour, quite possibly longer. Yeah, da-da-da. This is what we have going on here. And yeah, they are a decent size. Personally, I found that for me, 2 of these with a bun and tomato on top was totally sufficient for a full meal, actually. So three servings, not bad. I mean, also if you're adding, say, you know, eggs or whatever on the side, one of these would be pretty good. So, like I said, I'm gonna wrap these up in some saran wrap, pop them in the fridge, and I will see you in a bit so that we can start the actual cooking of these. See you in a bit. Hello again. All right, so actually it's been several hours and I have the kitchen all to myself, so thank goodness because I am starving. All right, now, yeah, I haven't eaten all day. All right, so I have some vegetable oil heating up on a low-ish heat. It's 3.5 on my oven anyway. And so we are going to start to fry up our burgers. You don't want to go too uber high on the temperature, I found. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of smoke. I've had that happen before. All right, so yeah, I've let these sit in the fridge for a while. And they are nice and set and together and with it, unlike me. And just going to pop these in. Hopefully I can do 3 at a time. That would be nice. Yeah, I think I'll have enough room. I don't want to go for 4, though. I think that might be a little crowded. Actually, maybe I could. No, you know what? I figure I'll divvy it up evenly. And I can hear a slight little sizzle going on. And that will pick up before long. And of course, you can cook these as brown as you want them. I like them to be fairly crisp on the outside. They will still be a little bit pink on the inside, but it will be cooked. And the nice thing about corned beef hash is that since it is canned, it is already pre-cooked. It just tastes a heck of a lot better if you actually heat it up. So it's like Spam in that regard, except not for nothing, I like this a heck of a lot better than Spam. So it's already starting to do a little bubbly, which is nice. And also I found that it's not good to leave them for too terribly long because then they get like really dark on the one side and still very light on the one. So I like to flip them fairly often. And then in between batches, I like to dump out it's a shallow layer of oil into a cup and wipe out the bits and then start over. That's what I did the first time that I tried this. Now, I'm fairly new to frying things, so bear with me. You know, take it with a grain of salt. There we go. And number 3. There you go. And also another thing that I have picked up is that when you're flipping them, try to get the oil to one side of the pan so that when you flip it, the oil doesn't splash. A little bit of a helpful hint there because, yeah, I did burn myself a couple of times with some oil the last time I made these, so do be careful. it does splatter. In fact, sleeves are not a bad thing when frying. So just sort of scoot them around a little bit, flip them every now and then, give them a press every now and then. And they're just going to do their thing, you know. And so we're going to let them sizzle and cook up nicely until they are a relatively, excuse me, medium brown, not too light, not too dark, like Goldilocks, just right. So I'm gonna keep at this for a bit. Let's see, is it time to flip? Could have waited a bit. Now, this one seems to be falling apart a little bit, but that is to be expected. They're not going to be perfect, but then again, life itself is far from perfect. All right, so I'm going to let these do their thing for a minute or two, and I will be back to show you where I'm at. Alrighty, so now for the moment of truth. So, during the cooking process, yes, I did have a couple of casualties that didn't quite make it. They fell apart, you know, and that is sometimes what happens. But you know what I did? I continued cooking them up, put them in a bowl, and I can enjoy them later as a loose hash even still. That's fine. You know, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. But I did have a couple of survivors, which are not going to survive for very long. As you can see, yes, got some hamburger buns here, and they look really quite nice, I think. Nice golden brown. And I also sliced up a little bit of tomato, let's call the whole thing off, and I'm going to enjoy myself a small feast. Yep. And as far as troubleshooting, I think that may be why some of them didn't make the process of being fried, is maybe if I made them a little bit smaller, that might help. Also, if perhaps when I was adding the onion, if I didn't add quite so much onion so that there would be more of the rest of it as far as the ratio to keep it more cohesive. I could be right, I could be wrong. Again, you know, I'm still learning as far as the whole cooking thing, but I do have a couple of successes here, and we are going to give it a whirl. Now, like I said, I have had these before, and I rather enjoyed them, so if experience is anything to go on, these should be just as delightful. Bon appetit! It's essentially comfort food, really. It's sort of like a breakfast sandwich slider, if you will. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of onion in there. Yeah. It's not crunchy like you might think. The frying process did soften them up a bit. Could have used more garlic though. I will say that. Could have used more garlic. The onion, you can taste it. Now the thing is that the recipe said a small onion. Small. It's such a subjective term, you know, it's like, I mean, I've seen gigantic onions that look like grapefruits, but, you know, I digress. Anyway, I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope that you had fun watching me today. Thank you for joining me, and if you liked this, please give a little thumbs up button down below. Give me your thoughts. What would you have done differently? Have you tried something like this before? What were your experiences? I'm always keen to get further insight, get more input, and try to improve as far as my kitchen skills. Yeah. So listen, everybody, Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay cooking, stay baking, and above all, stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other. Share some food, yeah. And I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.